Volkswagen's sleeping giant just woke up. VW is finally taking electric vehicles seriously and is taking giant steps to become one of the largest battery and electric vehicle manufacturers. Their plans almost mirror Tesla's plans for the future of EVs, but will it be enough, and is it perhaps a little too late? Well, in my view, they might have a really good chance in securing second place in the electric vehicle market, and that's what we will be talking about next. But first, let's get plugged in. Hello and welcome to EV Source. My name is Harry and I'm your host for today's dose of EVs and technology. Volkswagen held its Power Day event, which was very similar to Tesla's Battery Day. Both companies showed how they plan to combat electric vehicle prices within the next few years. Tesla showed the world a clear path to making electric vehicles far cheaper than they are today by not only making their own batteries, but also by rethinking the design and manufacturing process of the cells and vehicles. Many big changes are expected to happen on Tesla's manufacturing front, which may have sealed the first place for Tesla in the newly emerging electric vehicle market, which in the coming years will become what the internal combustion engine automotive industry is today, only without the use of dinosaur fluid. Now, Volkswagen is finally following Tesla's footsteps and they're on their way to secure second place in the EV market. It took them this long to realize that battery electric vehicles are the future.
E-mobility has won the race.
But I guess it's better late than never, right? So far, they are the only legacy automaker showing a real plan to get into the electric vehicle market. Although General Motors may also be considered to be on the same boat, their plans largely contrast what Volkswagen has in store for the future. The company plans to build 6 gigafactories by 2030. Yes, you heard me right, gigafactories. They probably should have come up with a unique name of their own, otherwise people might think they're copying Tesla. But yes, 6 factories by 2030 with a total output of 240 gigawatt hours annually, which is 40 gigawatt hours per factory. The first 2 plants will be in Skellefteå, Sweden, coming online in 2023, and Salzgitter, Germany from 2025. I might have just butchered the names, but you get the idea. Both plants will have a production capacity of up to 40 gigawatt hours per year. That sounds like a lot, which it is, but it does kind of pale against Tesla's 3 terawatt hour target by 2030. That's about 12 times more battery output than what VW has in their current plans. As an example, a fully functional Giga Nevada will eventually be able to produce approximately 150 gigawatt hours. In fact, the new 4680 cells built in Tesla's battery manufacturing line will eventually be able to produce over 200 gigawatt hours. And by putting multiple of these battery manufacturing lines inside a fully functional factory, Tesla will one day be able to produce at least 1 terawatt hour with a single factory. But I do want to give credit to Volkswagen for at least finally understanding what they must do in order to actually compete in the electric vehicle market. Make batteries and make lots of them to bring down the price below the magical $100 per kilowatt hour, which is considered to be price parity between ICE and EVs. Driving down the price for EVs is crucial in order for mass adoption to take place, and that's only going to be possible if the price of batteries comes down. Buying batteries from companies like Panasonic, Samsung, and LG Chem might work for now, but it won't be a viable option in the years ahead once companies like Tesla and now VW start mass producing their own batteries and bringing down the cost per kilowatt hour, leaving other battery manufacturers in the dust unless they also make progressive changes to bring down the cost. Of course, the manufacturing process, materials, and technologies used in the vehicles play a role in making up the price of electric vehicles. Batteries make up a huge portion of it, but keep in mind that Volkswagen sells approximately 10 million vehicles a year, while Tesla sold approximately 500,000 vehicles in 2020. So with 240 gigawatt hours, I don't think Volkswagen will be anywhere near 10 million vehicles in 2030 unless they still sell ICE vehicles. But will people still be buying ICE vehicles in 2030? Well, I'm sure there will be a select few around the world buying a vehicle that runs on dinosaur fluid, but the vast majority is likely going to lean toward an EV. By 2030, there will be a lot more EVs to choose from, while the price is projected to come down dramatically. So down, in fact, that EVs will cost less than the traditional ICE vehicles. Now let's talk about Volkswagen's batteries for a moment. They're promising so-called unified battery cells starting from 2023 that will be used in 80% of their vehicles by 2030. 2030. What Volkswagen presented as a unified cell design simply means they would have one size and design for every cell. But what's inside the cell, in other words, the battery chemistry, will vary depending on what's required from the vehicle. There's the iron phosphate battery chemistry, which is good for vehicles that do not require long range, but do require long cycle life. High manganese chemistry for volume production vehicles, and nickel cobalt for longer range. If this looks familiar, then that's because Tesla has a very similar plan as we learned on Tesla's battery day with slight variations. And then there's the solid-state battery that Volkswagen claims to be their ultimate goal for EVs. These are really big and bold statements coming from a company that is still just stepping its toes in the water when it comes to electric vehicles and battery technologies. But I sincerely hope they achieve their goals, because if we are to transition the entire world to electric vehicles, then we need to increase the battery production. It will have to be a collective effort. As Elon Musk stated on Battery Day, the goal is to have 20 terawatt-hours of battery production per year. That's what's actually going to help the world transition to electric vehicles.
You know, we really try to tell these companies, hey, you really need to do this or you won't exist in the future. But we really are hopeful that other companies will also do what we're doing, and that will make a sustainable future come sooner.
Every vehicle you could possibly imagine, from small single-person scooters to trucks and buses, and maybe even aircraft. Though Tesla is very ambitious, I have no doubt of them getting to 20 terawatt-hour production volumes by themselves, but it would take way too long to do so, which is why this has to be a collective effort. Now let's talk about charging time, since that was highlighted in the presentation, especially with the solid-state batteries. 12 minutes from 10% to 80% charge. Compare that with Tesla, which can get you from 10% to 80% in approximately 30 minutes. Now, many people who haven't yet bought an EV or have very little experience or knowledge about electric vehicles tend to usually think that charging time is very important and that it should be as close as possible to the time it takes to fill up a gas tank. While I do agree there are times when you would need to charge the car fast, for the vast majority of time you don't really need super fast charging speed. And here's why. Those who have a place to plug in their car when it's parked will almost never need to worry about the charge level of their vehicle, because they can wake up to a fully charged car every day by having it charged overnight. You'd only need to charge fast if you're on the road and need to continue your journey as quickly as possible. But then there of course are those who don't necessarily have a place to plug in their car overnight. For example, people who live in apartments may not have a place to plug in, at least not yet. This is where expanding the charging infrastructure to places where people leave their cars parked for several hours should get more attention if EVs are to become more mainstream. Sure, having charging stations at every gas station might help, but when the charging times are what they are today, congestions will occur, as we've already seen at Tesla superchargers in some places. So the solution is to have EV chargers available almost everywhere where cars stay parked for a period of time. Parking lots, shopping malls, street side parking, and so on and so forth. Luckily, Volkswagen does have a plan to build a charging infrastructure together with its partners. But as I mentioned before, making chargers available everywhere is the key here. Anywhere people park their cars for a period of time should have at least level 2 chargers. The biggest problem I see once mass adoption of EVs begins is EVs owned by people living in apartment buildings. As of now, most apartment buildings don't have any charging points, and those that do only offer it to a few people, not for everybody. Though this isn't really a problem today, it will be a problem in the very near future once most vehicles on the road are electric. So I hope these issues get solved before they become a bigger problem. What do you think about Volkswagen's approach to electric vehicles? Will their plan keep them afloat long enough to start mass producing electric vehicles on a scale at which they produce ICE vehicles today? Or will they lose some market share? As always, leave your thoughts down in the comments below. A shout out to all of our Patreon producers, and a special shout out to a power producer in Kang. Thanks for watching. My name is Harry and this is EV Source. Keep charging ahead and I'll catch you in the next one. Stay safe and take care.